Hmm.
Hello, it's Nadine here, and I'm here with this week's episode of Life, Health, and the Universe. And today, all of my guests are special, but this one's got a little special place in my heart. Well, a big special place in my heart. I'm joined by Patty Sage. Hi, Patty.
Hello. Thank you for
Patty's
having me. I'm so happy to
been-
be here.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to have you here again. Patty is dialing in from Canada. A little intro. You're a Reiki healer, a cellist, a mum of two babes. You're uh, Nothing's changed in your CrossFit world apart from you're becoming even more of a badass. And the one very special thing that we've done together so far is that you helped me to birth the podcast. So you were my very first,
Mhm.
and here we are, 2 years on. I uh, messaged you a couple of months ago and said, "Will you be a guest again?" And you were like, "What will we talk about?" So all will be revealed. I found a topic. Let me
She
hand over,
counted on me.
before we do the big reveal on the topic. Let me hand over to you and tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about you. I've just realised I haven't got my headphones plugged in.
Oh,
It doesn't make any
there
difference.
it is.
It's more for the feedback. So there you go. Hopefully we won't get
Oh,
feedback now.
fantastic. No, it's beautiful. You sound great, and thank you so much for having me, dear friend. It's nice to be back. It's been amazing to watch your trajectory as well over the last 2 years. It's hard to believe that was our first podcast. And you're helping a lot of people out there with what you have to share and the people you bring on. So thank you. So,
Let's
what
have
was
a
the
quick.
question?
Well, let's have a should we have a recap on like the things that we talked about in the first and our last and our first podcast, the last podcast that we did together, the first ever for Life, Health, and the Universe. We talked about CrossFit, motherhood, and spiritual healing. And
Mm.
we've both been watching each other on Insta and we stay in contact. You always send me beautiful birthday messages, which I love. They give me big smiles. Um, we talked about all of those things, but things change, evolve, grow, and as we
Mhm.
do. So what's been happening? Let's just have a bit of a catch up. CrossFit.
Yes.
What's going on there? It
Cross.
looks like you're going from strength to strength.
I guess it's just been chipping away at it and now getting into the competitive space. I mean, there's so much to be learned from in there, and I still rank as the anchor queen when it comes to individual comps. Like, someone's got to do it, but you know what? It's all about going and showing up and seeing what you can do. And there's a mutual respect in that realm of everyone who's just grinding it out beside you, doing their best, rep for rep. And there's an understanding there, of the discipline, of the grit, the mental game, the tenacity, the challenge, physical struggle, and we're all in it together, really. So that's been such a great teacher, and to learn about where you can show up and where you can't fake it. Um, there's no hiding
Mm.
in a comp, right? So, not that I've ever had to, but it does reveal your weaknesses and areas of improvement. And all you got to do is just lean in and do your best, which I think is the whole metaphor for life.
Yeah.
Show up, lean in, do your best, get out of your head, be present, and breathe. um,
It's
so that's
so,
our
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, yeah. They're the hot tips for
Thanks for
today.
listening, everybody. Yeah.
um, Doing it with other people makes a massive difference, doesn't it? Like that. Um, they carry you along. They help you get out of your own head. You just focus on doing what you're
Mhm.
doing. It's definitely
Mhm.
it's a different experience when you're doing it on your own. I do it on my own mostly now, and I just kind of dabble. I don't do half as much as I used to do, and I'm kind of like
Mhm.
just get in there, do what you can do, like you're still doing all right. But the mental chatter is is different. Like there's a whole bunch of
Hmm.
internal negotiation that goes on. Will I scale? No, don't be
Hmm.
silly. You don't need to scale. Just see how you feel. Like there's all the shit that goes on in my head. Which
Yeah.
yeah, it's different when you're doing it with a group of people, and yeah, it's interesting.
You're held accountable in a way,
Mm,
you know. And two, there's a lot of compassion to be revealed, and that everyone's in their own head, you know.
mm,
Everyone's nervous, everyone's sizing up, everyone's worried that they can't do it, you know. um, and there will always be somebody more advanced than you, someone stronger than you, someone better than you, despite how far you've come. And I think like the aspect of grace to be given and to remember is that people who do CrossFit are a small subset of the population. Um, it is inspiring and it is challenging, and you get into this realm, and in the peripherals, you know, you're seeing everybody else do CrossFit and sharing their gains, posting on social media with the things that they're proud of, because like never in a million years did we ever think that we could do this kind of stuff,
yeah.
much less uh, in our, you know, not at our peak, right? In your
Mm,
30s and your 40s and your 50s. And it instantly reveals the comparison wound, um,
mm,
which is the gift in all of it, right? Because like you, when it becomes your world and all you see in your peripherals, it's just like consumption. Um, we are responsible for the consumption of nutrition, what we put in our bodies, how much we hydrate, etc. But there's also a consumption from an emotional, mental, and if you have it, spiritual level, right? Like, what are you looking at every day in your social feed? What are you read? Or do you read the news? Do you not read the news? What are you speaking about with people in your community, right? And how are you speaking to yourself? Like it's all one ball of twine, and that we just happen to access through this sport. And in the end, again, we're going to like drive it back to the individual journey, and the whole metaphor for this podcast, for this life that we're living, is to come back to you, right?
mm,
To what kind of route do you want to act from lack, from comparison, from inadequacy, or from self-belief, from abundance, from positive self-talk,
mm,
from grace, from, you know, understanding that a failed rep is part of the process to growth, right? And to checking your ego in the end. So it's, don't take yourself for granted. And whoever's listening to this, we just happen to speak in the realm of CrossFit because that's how we relate. But this is for anything,
yeah.
anything that you want to go for, anything you want to achieve and push yourself to beyond your comfort zone, right?
Mm,
Um, if that's sport, public speaking, writing, a change in lifestyle, a change in how you speak to yourself, you know, all you need is just the willingness and the commitment to try something and see what happens. So that we went on a bit of a tangent there.
well, no, I think that was
But
all
that's the beauty of these
perfect.
things.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going well. You're enjoying it. You're
Yeah.
crushing
So,
it, actually.
so all in all, yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it is going well. I learn every day, and
And you feel like you're still making
um,
progress. I think that's one of the beautiful things about CrossFit.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're always making progress.
there's always something to strive for, which can bring
Hmm.
up some stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
You
Yeah.
talked about like how we can perceive it, like do we perceive it as failure or growth? And I've just read a book, and you've possibly heard of it, the Kybalion, which is the seven Hermetic
No.
principles, and
Oh,
it
cool.
has one of the principles is about opposition. Well, they're all kind of like, and they basically say that all things are the same, but there's just different degrees. They're just at different degrees. So hot and cold are the same thing, but they're just at different
Hmm.
degrees, right? Good and bad, happy and sad. So you know, yeah, it's almost like they're on a continuum. And so
Hmm.
it's kind of like, yeah, your perception or your energy or your vibration can affect where on that continuum you are. And it can change from day to day, from what you're experiencing in your everyday life as well. Like can be reflected in how you're feeling about what happens when you're in the gym.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe that was a little bit of a tangent.
Absolutely. Well, it's the relational aspect that you have to a movement, to yeah, like you said, hot, cold, like because we're in a 3D reality, right? In these meat suits, right? These we're having a
Love
human
it, a meat suit.
experience. It's eloquent, isn't it? Yes, and so we have to enter duality and
Mm,
understanding that you can't understand cold until you understand hot. It is only with us, with our narratives and our judgment, that we make it either good or bad, unpleasant or pleasant, right? And that's actually going to take us a lot into what we'll be talking about
mm,
later with the practice I have when I'm being tattooed. Um, and so it's all a teacher.
mm,
And I think before we close on the CrossFit part, like I was in a comp earlier this year, a master's comp, and the last event of the day was the chipper, and it was bar muscle ups was part of it. I think 15,
mm, wow.
and I was so fatigued at that point, and I just figured out bar muscle ups 2 weeks before, and just sought to chicken wing my way up to it as best as I could. Um, and it was, I got two out of
Mm,
probably 25 attempts,
wow.
and it's at the beginning of the chipper. So here I am, no rep, no rep, no rep. And that's the whole mental game in this
Mm,
is um I could sit there because the time of the event is going to elapse, right? 12 minutes will elapse and something will happen in that time.
mm,
I can show up, be in my head, be super anxious and nervous and judgmental, and every no rep I get, I can beat myself up. I can carry that energy into the next attempt, right? Or I can just keep trying. And every rep is net new, right? The last failed rep has no bearing on what's going to happen with this next rep, if I can frame it that way.
mm,
And whether I sit there and pout and beat myself up and chide myself, or I go, okay, let's just try again. Do your best. This time you're going to think about, you're going to isolate the hips. This time you're going to think about the kip. This time you're going to take a breath and a pause before you attempt and not rush into it. It's very difficult in a comp setting because like 1 second pause feels like five, you know, and all around me, my other heat mates, my competitors are now 30 to 40 reps ahead of me into other movements in the chipper. So that's a mental game as well. And really, it was my relational aspect to a bar muscle up. I tell you, I had the biggest smile on my face the entire time because what am I going to do? You know, and people are cheering me on. And part of it is a bit of a pressure because I'm like, oh, like I'm failing these reps and I'm letting these people down. or, you know, they're doing for me what I would do for them if I were sitting in the audience, because we all know that this is hard. And I tried to really take a smile into every single rep. And I obviously didn't get them, but I had the best time. And here's the funny thing is that the equivalent, you could have done 1 bar muscle up or did 3 chest to bars, right?
Okay.
But I can't do a chest to bar. I get fatigued and grippy. But I was failing so many of my bar muscle ups, but the chest was making contact.
So did they count? Did they?
They did, yeah. My judge just went, you know what, that's a chest to bar. So really, I was just doing very, very fancy chest to bar pull-ups with a lot of effort. And interestingly enough, you know, it was that attitude and that the relational aspect I had to a bar muscle up, which caught the attention of one of the other competitors who asked me to be in a partner comp.
Okay.
Just recently, right? And this guy's a beast. He is a very seasoned, and we'll take this pause. We're going to edit this pause out because I can't think of the word.
Pauses are okay.
Experienced CrossFitter who's been competing for a long time. And I remember he came up and asked me, and I just looked. Well, I mean, he asked me over Instagram, but I mean, I still looked behind my shoulder as if like me, like
Me?
who is he talking? Like you're asking me? And he said, yeah, you know, because I know he's partnered with stronger athletes in the past, way more proficient than I am, stronger than I am. And he said, yeah, I've been with them, but you know, it was your attitude and your mentality and your just no quit. I'd rather be in the trenches with that than with someone who's sulking and beating themselves up and carrying it from event to event. You know, so I think there's more than what we measure as success, as winning. And what truly is the connective, beautiful, you know, link between us as humans is just the experience. It's the value system. It's how we approach life, and if that aligns. And we did have the comp, and we ended up making the podium. So it's my first podium. Yeah, anchor queen no more. Yeah. So, that was really
it's
great.
your experience as well. Like sometimes we go through those things, right? And well, we can often look back and sort of see, oh, there was the gold in that experience. But the gold isn't always the gold that you think it's going to be, right? You don't know.
No.
Yeah, it's in hindsight that yeah, you didn't know that you were being seen for that person, but that was what shone through.
Right? Yeah. I was just sitting there, you know, and my kids came to watch me for that event, and they just for 15 minutes
what
have
are you
to
doing,
watch
Mom?
mommy like take a running start at the bar, and just, okay, well, there she goes again, you know, she's no quitter. But that's just it. That's the gold is the lesson. The gold is the takeaway. And even after that, you know, I went up to my kids, and a big part of me felt some shame, and like I'd let my kids down, and you know, they had to sit there and watch mommy fail rep after rep. But really the lesson was, okay, did mommy win? No. What did mommy do? Well, she kept trying. Okay. Did mommy have like, you know, a pouty face on? And because like my kids are very young right now, and they're learning so much about their identities and themselves and what success looks like, and it's often in the societal box, right? And
Yeah.
there's a bit of perfectionism that gets handed down generationally, like subconsciously. So to show them that failure is not failure, and that I had a whole box of people cheering for me um, through the 15 minutes, and therein lies the lesson. Like you just don't give up. You just do your best. You smile, you take a breath, you take a pause, and you try
People will
again,
always be there to
you
hold
know.
you and support you. And yeah.
Yeah. And so it's okay, it's okay to miss the rep. It's okay to fail. It's the
Mm.
experience. Mom, we didn't give up, right? I'm going to learn. I'm going to get stronger, and I'll try again. Um, so we were going back to the book you read and understanding the aspects. And what did you say? It was the spectrum or
Yeah,
the
like a
quality?
degree, like the degree at which one
Okay.
is, yeah, the like the two, like, um, so, okay, hot and cold are the same thing,
Mhm,
but they're just at different
mhm.
degrees. So if you want to get,
Yeah.
if you're hot, you want to get cooler. If you're cooler, you want to get warm, and so it's the
Hmm.
same thing, right? It's on the same continuum, but they're just at different.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
That's
And in
this.
some instances, they're actually the same vibration.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, they say anxiety and excitement
Mm,
are actually the exact same vibration.
right.
It's just your relational, it's your narrative around it. It's your definition of what that vibration is.
Mm,
And that's, where we start to look into equanimity and the work that we do. And I understand it through Vipassana meditation, right? Where you're looking at sensations. We have craving and aversion um, that we usually steer towards, right? I want
mm,
more of that. I don't want more of that, right? Pleasure and pain, hot and cold, right? Can we get to a spot where we're practicing equanimity in that it's neither good nor bad, it just is,
right.
right? Hot, if it becomes uncomfortable for someone and they start having an aversion to hot, now they want to get cooler, right?
Mm,
Instead of judging it as a bad thing, can we recognize hot for its qualities, for its the feeling on your skin, the
mm,
feeling in your body, for how it radiates, the prickliness of it, if there is any, right? Can we just view those qualities as is and accept them fully and not resist them? Same as cold.
mm,
There is still a prickliness on your skin, but it has now come through cold, right? Can we appreciate and accept its crispness, um, its coolness, right? And at some point, its numbing quality for what it is and not judge it. Can you be with this? That is the whole lesson. Can you be with your external circumstance regardless?
mm.
And when you get into that space of total acceptance and surrender without trying to change it, without trying to control it, and have your narrative make it something, then you are at peace. Which brings us a segue really
Yeah,
into what we wanted to talk about today
exactly.
is yeah,
Is
tattooing
yeah,
and the
tattooing.
experience.
Yeah, which
Mm-hmm.
I've had this I have had this idea for a while. I've thought about um,
Yeah.
inviting a group, or two or three guests on to talk about body art and our experiences and what kind of drew us to having these things done. Because I had a personal observation. I've got a few tattoos, and I have to say I'm a little bit envious of you because you keep getting them, and I'm like, it's just not the right time.
Like I put that out there. At any one given point in time, I am either healing a CrossFit injury or a tattoo, or both. So
Yeah.
we're right on points. Yes.
Something I really observed about myself, like when I had the tattoos that I've had, I didn't really think about it. It was like, I just want to get a tattoo, right? And well, that's kind of where I was then. In hindsight, I kind of see something a bit different. But 2.5 years ago, I stopped drinking, and I started to observe, in behavior, just in general behavior, like drinking is alcohol. It's like seeking a shift from what I was currently feeling to do something else. It's like, seeking a shift by going to pick up your phone when you've been thinking about a whole bunch of things, and then you just want to shift away from it. And I noticed in myself, I started thinking, I want to get another tattoo, and it was almost like seeking that shift, right? It was like yeah, and I didn't go and get another tattoo. Like, I kind of sat with it and thought about it, and over a period of time, and just didn't eventuate. But I just found that I found that really interesting, like as a personal observation, that it was like, am I trying to remove myself from something? What is it I'm seeking in the experience of having a tattoo? Is it like I'm trying to change myself? I'm trying to just move out of what I'm feeling right now. So that was kind of my inspiration for wanting to find out more and just hear from others about what their own experiences have been. Is it to do with body image? Yeah. Is it to do with an initiation of some sort? And you've been really like, I love the post that you put on Facebook, and we can put a link if you like. I mean, it's kind of a personal page, but if you, or not Facebook, Instagram, about your experiences, the poetic nature of your sharing. And so, yeah, I love it. It's just got so much beauty. And, we can have this kind of perception of, we see someone with lots of tattoos, and it can feel, well, it's that spectrum again, that continuum of aggressive, beautiful, like that kind of, it can be quite full on, but there's so much beauty in it. And I think that you really carry that beauty because of the way that you speak about your experience.
Thank you. Oh, well, thank you so much. And the art of tattooing too there have been so many like societal associations over the years, that it has changed so much in context, and it's more socially acceptable now, right? And at the end of the day, it is a body modification, right? Akin to a piercing, plastic surgery, anything that we're doing to change our bodies as an expression. Okay. I think it's quite an iceberg, because what I'm interested in looking at is the root of why someone would entertain having body modification, like on a very minuscule level, like you're saying. Like, it's just a change. It's like a fun thing, right? It's a nose piercing. It's a little tattoo. Some people just, get tattoos to get tattoos. It's like, oh, that looked fun. That was on a flesh seat, and I liked it because I like dogs, and that's fine enough, right? I like butterflies, right? Like, it could just be something to do, and now you have it, and it's an instant gratification in a way, and something really cool to. It's like a haircut, right? You wake up, you're like, oh, I have short hair now, right? And it can be from that spectrum to something that is incredibly deep and meaningful, and a further, for me anyways, what I can say to speak to is like another form of expression of my truth. I worked at a tattoo shop for a short amount of time, which was one of the most beautiful experiences to understand the tattoo industry and community and tattoo culture. And also like understand what it's like from an artist's perspective. And everyone, I was at the front desk, and everyone coming in through the door, you know, had their reasons for getting a tattoo. A lot of them, you know, have an emotional attachment to it, right? Whether it be a memoriam tattoo, or they've survived cancer, right? Tattoos that are matching to signify a bond between two people. Tattoos to represent a very significant part of somebody's journey or something that meant something to them. So it becomes a way of getting to know someone without having hear them speak, you know, a visual representation of what's important to them, which I find really beautiful. And I would say it can be a big part of someone's healing process. Because this is forever. I mean, like now we have tattoo removal, but it is something that you are committing to for yourself, whether it be sort of fun and in the moment and just like a whatever thing, to, you know, something that you feel strongly about, that moves you, that captivates you, that represents you. And then we also too, you're right, get into the cultural context, right? Like if you look at the Maori and Polynesians, right? Like those are rites of passage.
Yeah.
So there's, they're very sacred. So the meaning of something, and the free will that somebody has to choose it, it really just comes from what motivates them. And you know, you were alluding earlier to like, do I just want to get this to have it, you know, is it a distraction in a way, or is it like a quick fix, or is it like a short-term, you know, thrill?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because it's very accessible these days. Like I don't think there's a right or wrong about it. For me personally, I've not had that sort of experience. The tattoos that are adorned on me have very deep meaning and are all symbols of my journey and my value system. And I just really appreciate it as an art form. It is unapologetic. It is in your face because you can't. There's no hiding this now, right?
No. Are you going to run out of space?
I am. The next is the forehead.
The scalp.
Where we're gonna have to go. Yeah, the scalp. So,
do you have any just on a more basic level, do you have any limitations to where you will go? Like, you know, some people say that they won't go any further than their collarbone, they won't tattoo their neck or hands. Do you have any limitations with that? Do you have any rules, or are you just like,
the fact that I am this tattooed already is I've passed many limitations.
Yes.
I started with one sleeve and that was going to be it, and I never thought I'd get to two, and then I never thought I'd get to chest tattoos. And then I never thought I'd get to my legs,
Right. Yeah.
anything. And then I did my legs, and I was like, okay, well, nothing past, I can still wear skirts or dresses,
Mm-hmm.
and there'll be nothing there. But now that's all gone. So I, I would say no. I mean, like, I think what I have right now is still coverable. Like, I haven't
Mm.
gone to hands or throat or neck um, quite yet. And that would take some thinking. But at the same token, you never know, right?
You
Like,
never know. Never say never.
you never know. I would assert, like, let life surprise you. Let inspiration take hold when it does, and an attachment or a commitment or a limitation in your words may not be applicable at that time. Like that, I never even, on a greater span, I never thought I'd be this tattooed. I never thought I'd be this strong and fit, and I never thought I'd be a healer, right? If
Mm.
I had let those limitations and that self-talk and belief system, dictate where I am today, instead of staying open to my experience and letting life unfold and letting life put the things in front of me that it has, I would not be this entity, you know. We would not be speaking on podcasts. It's just really something. So yeah, no, I do have two more projects planned, tattoo wise, but who knows? I could be a fabulous old tattooed bitch by the end of it. Who knows? It's wait and see, everybody. Let's give us another 2 years, for the next podcast, and see where I'm at.
Do you
Yeah, they're just emblems.
yeah. Yeah, and I would
Mm.
love for you to share, if you're open to it, some stories that you have. Um, but the question I do have for you is, um, I know that I've spoken to some people that have been tattooed, and they use the cream,
Numbing
like
cream.
the
Hmm.
numbing cream. Do you do that? Ah,
Lidocaine.
yeah.
Yes, and
See, it
I
doesn't. I
thought you
don't
might
think you
ask
can
about
get.
that.
Yeah, you don't get a hold of it super easily here. And I've had
Oh.
these, and you've kind of touched on this, being in the moment with it and feeling the experiencing it. And I try I tried that when I was having I've got a half sleeve, and I had it done over
Mhm.
3 sessions. And I tried different things each time, but when I tried actually being in it and focusing on the feelings and stuff, I felt really sick. Like, I thought, oh shit, I'm gonna vomit. It was
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
intense,
Mhm.
and I got through it. But
Mhm.
I actually found when I was talking and I was better with distraction, but no creams or anything.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a great question, and it's been one that I've noticed come up a lot lately in today's tattooing world. Um, and I mean, like, it's gone so far as to some people going under full anesthesia and having their whole
Oh,
body tattooed on it,
holy
right? Like,
dooly!
yeah, I think it was one of the rappers, Drake, or something, had multiple artists work on him while he was under anesthesia to do large scale projects, right?
Wow.
And I think, like, it is an individual choice.
Yeah.
There's sort of that OG mentality. It's like, no, you got to earn it, right? You got
No.
to grit through it. You have to, bite down on the leather strap to earn this tattoo. And the thing is, and there's a bit of, glory in it, and there's a bit of that was the toughness behind getting a tattoo. However, now there's a lot of tattoo artists out there that just, like, advocate, like, there's no shame in using a numbing cream if you find this too intense. And that gets back to like really honoring and listening to your body. And
Mm.
you don't know where somebody's at
Mm.
with their pain tolerance, their relational aspect to pain. If they're tattooing an area where there was some trauma, because some people do get tattoos over self-harm scars,
Right.
that they just want to transform. And there are different parts of the body that are a lot harder and more sensitive and painful to tattoo than others. And so who's to say?
Mm.
Um, uh, I have gotten feedback from tattoo artists that, it does help the process, because now the patient, number one, is, or not the patient, sorry, that's my clinician talk. The client, number one, is not expressing, duress, or having, their physiological reaction to pain with sweating, breath picking up, squirming, asking for breaks, that sort of thing, so they can continue their work. They're
Mm.
more comfortable, they're relaxed and open to their process and present in that way. Also, too, it is very, as a tattoo artist, what I've heard from my friends, there's a degree of, I need to do my job and pull this line on the skin, or shade in, and it's a very it's an art of precision, because you can't erase anything, once you've put it on the canvas. And being focused, but also having empathy for the person on the table who is expressing their pain, and a sense of obligation and almost guilt, that's just like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll try and move through
Mm.
this
Yeah, yeah,
faster,
yeah.
or having to check in with them, like, do you want to continue? We can take a pause. Like, the last thing I want for you is to be in this much pain, right? Like, it's a balance between the two people on the table, and it's very intimate. um so if a numbing cream can help both, I don't see why not. um for myself personally, I've been through tattoos where I've not used numbing cream, and I've been through tattoos where I have, because it's the places, the areas that I was tattooing were a lot more sensitive. They were creating spasms in me, an emotional release as well. You get tattooing over organs and,
Mm.
right, ribs, and areas that have referring sensation to other areas, right? Like, I, in some aspect, I've paid my dues because of how tattooed I am. Like, I have nothing to prove. I am on the table regardless, creating something with my artist. So it's listening to my body and honoring that, without, and asking for what I need.
Mm.
I think that's like a big thing too for everyone in the audience, right? Like,
Yeah.
asking for what you need. It's empowering to be able to do so and to make your choice. So I think it's up to the person and
Yeah.
what they're needing that day. They could be under, there's so many um um variables as well. They could be incredibly underslept because they were stressing out about the tattoo the night before, so they're going to be more sensitive. Or if it's a woman, she could be in a part of her cycle,
Mm.
where her body is a lot more sensitive and reactive to discomfort and pain.
Yeah.
Somebody could be stressed out. Who's to say? So
Yeah.
yeah, go
I
with that.
haven't
And
been,
some people
yeah,
enjoy.
I've never been offered any kind of pain relief. Like, I don't know if
Mm,
in Australia they actually do that. I'm not sure. Um,
mm.
like, it's kind of one of those things where some people, some tattoo artists might have it available, but it's kind of like under the table. I don't know if that's changed. It's been a while
Yes,
since I've had
yes.
a tattoo, but like, I would totally, I would totally use it if I was going to
Yeah,
have any
there
more
are numbing
and it was an
sprays.
option.
There
Yeah.
are numbing. Oh, absolutely, yes.
Mm.
It's if it's an option, right? Some some do keep it in the studio, a numbing spray. So you do have to break the skin surface in order for it to,
Oof.
uh, yes, uh,
To get
penetrate
in.
into
Yeah, yeah.
the deeper layers. So there is some of that
Initial,
first, and
yeah.
then they'll spray during the break, and then it will help.
Mm.
There are creams available in North America that are FDA approved, and it's a prep
Yeah.
done by the client
Mm.
before they come in.
Yeah.
Um, and they use that for the microblading and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
for
Okay.
cosmetic tattooing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Have you
mhm,
experienced, like I've uh, known people who have had, like, actually post tattoo, because of the extent of the tattoos they've had, and the thing that made me think of it was when you said that people go under completely and have like multiple,
mhm.
that your body actually goes into some kind of shock from the process. Have you had that experience, especially with like your big, like the big one, you've got big complete full back tattoo, right?
Back piece.
Mm.
Hmm. I have, yeah, because like whether you can feel it or not, are still putting your body under stress, right? There, it has the wisdom to know that something's being, cut, and um, there's a wound
Mm.
there,
Yeah.
right? And also too, if you're using numbing cream, that will wear off, and
Mm.
then the
Yeah.
post sensation will come in, right?
Mm.
So it is a stressor that you're putting your body under, and it's going to have its response. And there's fatigue, right, from lying on a table and hours of tattooing. So I have been in those situations where not complete shock, but I go into extreme shivering,
Mm.
even as like my artist is wiping down everything and we're done and we're about to bandage up. The sensation of the coolness of the spray and the
And the
antiseptic
wiping.
that
Yeah,
they're
the
putting on
wiping.
me, oh,
Oh.
that's more, it's torture, right? And I'll shake violently, and my body's telling me that it just needs time to recover and rest at that point.
Mm.
Yeah.
You've
It
touched
has to
on,
catch up at some point.
yeah, you,
Mhm.
so since we spoke 2 years ago, you've had uh, lots of adornments.
Yes.
Um, it's there, and like obviously you've been through a personal journey with your parenting, relationships, like we talked about that 2 years ago. So there's been a whole bunch of healing. Your career has changed. Like there's lots of stuff. We're always evolving, right? Um,
Mhm.
is there, and you've kind of touched on the fact that they're stories. Your tattoos are like stories. Is there anything? Would you share with us one example of that? Would you be open to doing that?
Mhm. I would love to. Thank you. Um, so a lot of my healing work um, is is tied to the divine feminine, and there's so many beautiful aspects within it that help us understand ourselves and peel back layers, and to go into our darkness and derive the wisdom there. To take responsibility for our wounds, really, our self-worth wounds, our not enough wounds, our too much wounds, and um, in a very intuitive, flowing, creative, but real way. And almost every tattoo on my body is an homage to that. Hence all the florals,
Mm.
and they're powerful in that way because we tend to live in a society where when you get someplace, if you've achieved something, if you've done your work to overcome pain, right, it came with a lot of blood, sweat, tears, suffering, exhaustion, etc. And that's a big part of it for sure. That's what helps us grow and evolve and understand just truly how strong we are. But if there's a hard way, there is a gentle way. And I learned that through Divine Feminine, so much about that. Understanding that all beings have a feminine essence. It's regardless of gender, sexuality. It's we have a masculine side and a feminine side that we tend to not listen to as much, right? And that's receiving. It's not doing. If the masculine is doing, then the feminine is being. And when we stop doing and we stop moving and stop producing, and you're forced to be, what's there? What is there for you to sit with, breathe with, look at? And oftentimes it's stuff that we don't want to look at. And can you really be with yourself and love and accept all of it? The shadow, the light, the good, the bad, the parts of yourself you don't like, and the parts that you're learning to love. So these tattoos are, I have a lot of roses. That is the ultimate sign of the feminine. Perfect symmetry, divine timing, flow, beauty, love. Roses bloom when they're supposed to, right? It's all in the timing. And the lesson there is to release control of how we think something should be. When we think something should happen. It is only we humans with our minds, and at my place of work, we don't call ourselves control freaks, we're control enthusiasts. We're very enthusiastic. It is only with our enthusiasm, that we're like, well, this should have been here. And there's a lot of judgment in that, right? Like, should have been here, should have done this, should happen in this time. I need to do. The rose is not like, okay, June 25th, that's my bloom date. So here's the work back schedule. And therefore, the sun needs to be here at this angle for this amount of time. And then the rain must come in at, this temperature for this long. And if I don't meet this June 25th deadline, I'm failing somehow, right? And all the stressors and then stuff comes out. No, the rose opens and unfurls exactly when it's meant to, and it does so beautifully with so much grace and strength, and it's not forced, and yet it's worth the wait. We all grow where we're planted, and we all unfurl and bloom in our own time. It's only we humans with our narratives and our shoulds that we impose a great deal of suffering, because we can't be with our circumstance, right? And somehow that suggests an aspect of failure instead of being with your process and really trusting the timing of everything that's happening in your life, right? And that's so much about what Divine Feminine has taught me. And I do have, however, my first masculine piece, and it's the tiger on my thigh, or as I call it, my thiger. And and he's a big boy, and for some reason felt very compelled to have a sign of the masculine on the right side, which is the masculine side, left side is feminine, as a protective aspect. I don't know, I was just called to it.
Yeah, nice.
So it's, and who knows what else will be adorned as I continue on this journey with everything that teaches me something every day, all the people, places, circumstances, things. It's all there to bring us back to ourselves in the end. So I'm very fortunate and grateful to have artists who know me very well now and know my journey. One in particular, she's tattooed about 80% of my tattoos, with such great respect, instinct, artistry, and care. Yeah, it would. I'm just very fortunate to be able to express myself in this way, with people who want to help me tell my story.
Mm. Do you think that I heard someone talking about a tattoo the other day, and they didn't have a whole bunch of tattoos, but someone asked them about, it was in an interview, and someone asked them about a tattoo that she had on her arm and what it symbolized. And he asked a question, the interviewer asked a question like, do you did you have that there to remind you of something you already knew? Or some, he said something along those lines, almost like that discovery is all is, well, it's that same kind of thing that we've talked about, returning back to
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Like
Mm-hmm.
does that make
The
sense?
essence of it already. Yes, it does.
Yes, yeah,
It's
like
like,
that you've already
mm-hmm,
lived it, and so the tattoos kind of bring it
mm-hmm,
in. And
mm-hmm. The answer was always there. The
yes,
essence of
yeah,
you was always there.
yeah,
The story of you was always there.
mm,
The value system of you was always there. Um, and it wasn't through the tattoo as a reminder to drive you towards that, but as a representation of what you already are.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
As it's almost like, I heard this the other day, and I was speaking with a beautiful friend about it. Michelangelo, they were asking him, how did you create David through that humongous piece of marble, right? How could you even conceptualize it? And his answer was that, well, David was already there. I just had to chip away all the layers outside of it, right? That's the beauty in all of this, is that you're already there.
mm,
Your wisdom, your inner knowing, your wholeness and completeness, and the artistry that you are as an individual being on this planet, with your experiences, with your own pain, with your own understanding of this human experience, and what you want to bring into this world, and what you're here to transcend by learning through it. It's already there. Actually, the answer was already there.
yeah,
That's the beauty of it. You need
yeah,
not go search out. It's within.
mm,
So I wonder if that's what that question was, by that,
yeah.
the
I
guy
think
asking,
that's a
her
perfect
about.
answer. Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
yeah. And I guess like once you have the pictures, they serve as reminders, right? So when you are in those
mm-hmm,
moments where the 3D life might be giving you, a hard time, then you've got those
mm-hmm,
reminders of actually who you are, and the beauty of
mm-hmm.
what lays within.
What lies within? It's a reclamation.
It's a
You
reclamation,
know,
yeah.
it's a reclamation of who you were to begin with before you forgot, and
Yes, yeah.
a reclamation of your power, a reclamation of of your voice, of your own expression. And I mean, it also looks really cool.
It looks really fucking cool.
Yeah, it looks really fucking cool. I wake up every morning and I go, oh yeah,
Yeah,
like,
this is me.
and
How cool am
this is it. I
I?
forgot, like I get to look at art all day, and um it is a unabashed statement. and that takes courage too, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
We are,
Um,
well, we've hit our hour, and I'm conscious of the time a little bit simply because, speaking of adornments and body things, I'm taking my daughter to have her ears
mhm.
pierced today.
Oh, yeah.
I
Okay.
know, it's her
Okay.
initiation.
It is.
um, but I
It,
would, before we do come to a close, something that I'm curious about, because when I see someone who's tattooed, and I've got tattoos as well, so people probably look at me and I don't even I don't even realize that people, like someone said to me, I was like, how are they gonna, they were organizing a meetup, and I was like, how are they gonna recognize me? And they're like, are you kidding? Like, you're fit, you've got grey hair, and you've got tattoos. Like, how are they gonna miss you? And I'm like, oh, right, yeah, that's how other people
right.
see me.
Yeah.
When I see people with a lot of tattoos, I want to look, but then I
Hmm.
feel like maybe they don't want to be looked at. How do you feel
Hmm.
having, so much body art? How do you feel
Hmm.
about that? Do you mind
That
people
people look at.
looking? Does sometimes you just want to tell them to F off? Or like, do you just kind of
Oh,
accept
yeah.
that if I'm this tattooed, people are going to look?
Yeah. And the more tattooed I get, the more I do notice that I'm being noticed,
Right.
um, by young and old alike, and I think it is a responsibility because it's just like I didn't get these to not have people look at them, right? It's
But you didn't
any body
necessarily get
modification.
them
Oh yeah.
so that, people did look,
Yes,
right?
so that people would look at me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's just an
It's your
outcome.
person, like it's a personal, yeah, yeah,
Mhm. I personally, I don't mind it. I mean, one, I'm representing local artists, and because I do get stopped a lot and commented a lot on
right.
uh, how high quality the work
Mm,
is, and I think too because of the stigma of tattoos in the past, that like somehow you're a criminal or you're um, from the wrong side of the tracks. In Chinese culture, so my parents are from Hong
mm.
Kong, and if you were tattooed, it was because you were a criminal, and that was their marker
Ah,
of how someone could recognize you, and they would tattoo your last name on you, right? So there's like some stigma there, and I find it to be an interesting challenge of that stigma to to show that that's actually not the truth. Like you can be a very kind, approachable, benevolent, compassionate, you know, connective person, or not, because there are introverts that get tattoos too, and they'd
mm,
rather just like not be seen and not have any of that. But like um, that it's just me. This is Patty Sage. You either accept it or you don't. You either look or you don't. And to show that there's beauty in all ways. Um, there's art in all ways, and it's a great connective piece because someone who sees me would make a lot of assumptions, perhaps,
mm.
based on my on just being tattooed in general. And I'm also like a mother. Um, I'm a musician. I'm a linguist. I have two university degrees. I have, the whole list goes on about what quote unquote success or like accomplishment is, how it's measured societally.
Mm,
And, you know, someone this tattooed possibly couldn't have that, right? Like that. I like challenging that aspect as well.
mm.
That we can be whatever we want. You can create whatever you want. You can express however you want. Like, don't apologize. you can embody every part of you, and that's the whole reclamation, right? Some parts of you will complement each other, and some parts of you will contrast against others within, right? That's the whole beautiful messy experience that this being human thing is. And you know, we're all going to die. That's the
Yep.
memento mori. Okay, we have this chance, hopefully, 8 to 10 decades on this planet. So why not live a little?
Yeah, I love that.
Go do
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
Do the thing.
I feel like it's the ultimate way of kind of representing masculine and feminine, right? Because you've been through this like intense experience, which you would kind of, be drawing on that, well, potentially drawing on this on your masculine energy to, grit your teeth and do the
Mm-hmm.
hard thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
you've created this amazing beauty, and you're carrying it with you, this art on your body. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like that beautiful play between the masculine and the
Mm-hmm.
feminine.
It's a marriage for sure. And I mean, like, even I know you have to go,
Mm.
but yeah, I was going to get into equanimity and that experience on the table outside of numbing cream,
That'll
but
be the
maybe that's
next one.
another podcast. That'll be the next one. Yeah, like, it's the masculine is, yeah, like understanding, forming, flexing, through this process. Yet you have to tap into your feminine, which is release and surrender to this experience, and um to flow with your sensations, to be with the pain,
Mm.
um to be with the intensity of it, yet tap into that inner strength and that sort of mental fortitude that reminds you that everything is impermanent, which is the whole joke in all of this. Because as a as a Buddhist practitioner who uses that sort of meditation on the table while she's getting tattooed, that everything is impermanent, I'm getting permanent ink put on me. So I don't know what the cosmic joke is in that, but there you have it. So
I love it.
duality, right?
Duality.
Hot and cold. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. That's a perfect little close, I think. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it won't be 2 years before we do it again.
Yeah, no, let's make this a little
Okay.
shorter in between, because
I'm just trying to
I've
find
had
my
such
stop
a
button. It's
blast
moved.
here.
Yeah, me
Okay,
too.
well,
Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
having me.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Patty.
such a
It's been a
pleasure. Thank
pleasure.
you, everyone, for listening.
Lots of love.
Cheers.
Bye.
Lots of love.